The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Nyer, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC. I'll be your facilitator for today's webinar. For those of you that are not familiar, the Virginia SBDC is the largest and most effective provider of customized counseling and education for small businesses in Virginia. Most of our services are offered locally in 27 locations throughout the Commonwealth. Today's webinar is one of our educational offerings and is part of our ongoing webinar series, Google and Beyond, Marketing and Managing on the Web. Today's topic is Google Ads 101 for small business. All of our Google and Beyond webinars are presented by Ray Sidney Smith, a web and mobile strategist, author of So Low Mo Success, Social Media, Local and Web Small Business Marketing Strategy Explained, and president of W3 Consulting. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type those questions in the question window and Ray will do his best to answer them. Without further ado, here's Ray Sidney Smith.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you to the Virginia SBDC for having me here on the Beyond Google webinar series. So as Tracy said, today we're going to be talking about Google Ads, and this is a 101. So we're going to go over some of the basics here so that folks who are new to Google Ads can be exposed to the value and some of the practical components of being able to launch a first campaign. So what does it take to get to that first campaign? Today we're going to be primarily talking about text ads, but we're going to talk about what the other options there are as well in terms of ad types. A couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. As Tracy said, she has the question panel open for you to be able to ask questions. It's great to just get those questions answered while you have me live here during the webinar. If for some reason you have to ask a question later and I'm not available, you can always tweet at us at W3 Consulting, hashtag it Beyond Google. I will have my email address on the final slide as well, so you can shoot me an email, write me an email message if you come across a problem, and I can hopefully lead you to a resource to solve that problem if you come across it after the webinar. Go ahead and follow at Virginia SBDC also on Twitter, and that's where they put out future webinars on the Beyond Google series, as well as other programs and events and resources that they are sharing on behalf of the Commonwealth. So go ahead and follow at Virginia SBDC as well. Today's agenda is fairly straightforward. We're going to talk about really what Google Ads is. Google Ads used to be called Google AdWords, so some people might be a little confused by the terminology change, but Google rebranded and this product, and so now Google AdWords is now Google Ads, and that makes it a little bit difficult to say because we'll be talking about Google Ads, but bear with me in the tongue twister that is Google Ads in general. And so it's sort of like Google Groups, because whenever I talk about the Google Groups product, you talk about a Google Groups group, and so it's a singular of a plural. But anyway, so we're going to talk about what Google Ads is as a platform. We'll talk about how to set up a Google Ads advertiser account. So I'm going to walk you through that process to see if you haven't ever created a Google account and a Google Ads account. You can just sort of see what that process is like. And then we'll talk about what it takes to get yourself to that first Google Ads campaign. And we'll then leave a little bit of time at the end for Q&A. If I run up against the time, Tracy will be happy to, let me know, and then we can stay after and answer any questions that you have. I'm happy to stay here as long as we need to answer those questions. So let's get started. Google Ads. What is Google Ads? Google Ads is a platform that allows anyone to place ads onto two different major properties. One is search, or what they call the search network, and the other is the display network. So that you have some idea about the two networks and where they really function in terms of Google Ads, you can place advertisements within search results, and that is the search network. It extends beyond just google.com though. When you think about where the search network, because it's a network, displays ads, it's not just search engine results page or results pages, as I'll call them SERPs, but search engine results pages. The acronym is SERP. And so we have the search network that displays on google.com, Google Maps, and search partners. So for example, AOL is a search partner. So your Google Ads can can end up being displayed on AOL search. It can end up being displayed on other search partner websites where those types of things can be extended to the publisher network and so on and so forth. So for example, if you know what AdSense is, you may your search results may show up in AdSense locations where publishers of websites place Google AdSense for display of text-based ads and so on and so forth. Then the flip side of that is the display network. Now, the display network you typically know as seeing banner ads, again, through, say, AdSense. And so banner ads are a type of ad. They can also be text ads, but the display network's difference is that the user may or may not be interested in your product or service. And so it's a little bit of a broader network where the display network can show different types of media, images, videos, and other kinds of media. And the idea there is that the user may be interested in your product or service, and it's really for brand awareness campaigns, rich media, and your choice becomes much more granular in terms of where you want to display the ad. Whereas with the search network, you're appearing above organic search. In essence, you're being displayed with, but also above organic search, and you're capable of, actively looking, well, you're capable of being displayed in front of users who are actively searching for your product or service. So with the search network, it's just a little bit more powerful, I think, because you're being put in touch with someone who is actively searching for your product or service, or at least the content that you have on your site. So what I wanted to do was to just quickly jump over to Google and give you an idea about what it looks like to be able to do a search like that. And so let's go ahead and do something like that, so you can just kind of see what a search looks like. So if I'm in Google, and if I type in shoes, this is a very broad choice in the matter, right? And I'm just going to block location right now just so that we don't get muddied too far into this. But the idea here is that I've typed in a search like shoes. Now, when I typed in shoes, Google automatically knew that I was searching for a product, right? So in this particular case, it's shoes. I could have typed in men's shoes. I could have typed in women's shoes. I could have typed in Oxford loafers, whatever the various type is. But in essence, Google automatically identified that I was looking for a product. And so what you can see here is Google displays those ads here. It's noted as an ad. See, it's a blue line, which is two sets of headlines, really. So they give us two sets of headlines here. You can't see it right now in the line, but there's actually two different headlines that they're showing us available. Then they show us a display path. The display path is really the URL that you can click on, and that's here in green after this little ad notation, which tells you that it's a sponsored or an advertisement on the Google search result page. And then below that, you can see that there is a little bit of text. Now, this is see this little star, these stars here underneath the ad? I'm circling it right now with my mouse, my cursor. That itself shows ratings for Zappos.com. And what this is right here is actually what we call an ad extension. I'll talk about that shortly, but that's not actually part of the ad itself in terms of a typical display ad. Below that, then you have the description, and the description is then below that. So the four fundamental parts are the headline right here, headline 1 and headline 2. Then you have the display path in green, and then down here you have the description. Okay, and as you can see here, Google has given us 4 different display ads, text ads, that is, I'm sorry, 4 different text ads here above any other content, right? They have chosen to just place this way above all the other organic content. On the right-hand side, you can see again, this is sponsored, which means that these are ads, and what Google has done is it's pulled in content from various sources, e-commerce sites, with more content regarding shoes. Okay, it's not until I scroll down here to this next section that it actually gives me some more content. This is local content for where I can buy shoes, and then a little bit of a little card that shows me some information about shoes, just in case I was unaware of what a shoe was. And then we finally get to the organic content, which is starting right here now below the local pack. And I go down and I can see these other types of shoes. And what I'm going to do right now is actually do a little bit of advanced searching, so that I'm gonna come back to this later. But I want you to see what happens as we start to modify a search. So when we do a search, generally, Google looks for things that are going to be useful to the website searcher. So from the web searcher, that is, I'm the searcher right now looking for content. And so say, for example, I type in men's shoes. Now, Google knows that's a fairly broad term, and so what Google is going to do is it's going to try to provide for me some matches that are broad, so that I'm likely to enjoy and get satisfied whatever I'm looking for in some capacity. So it shows me a set of sneakers, it shows me some loafers, it shows me some casual shoes, some boots. Notice that it gives me a wide variety of different kinds of shoes. Now, say for example, I'm looking for specifically men's casual shoes. Now you can see that right below where I've typed in men's shoes, it's given me that drop down because it knows that that's something that people typically type in. Now, when I click on that option, it now does that search, and now you can see that casual shows up in all kinds of the ads that are throughout here, right? You know, casual shoes is showing up right here in this headline. It's showing up here in this headline as well. It's showing up in the description of these items as well. And so Google starts to identify, based on what I type in, more specificity as the search becomes more specific. Now, there are some things you can do in what we call advanced search operation within Google to be able to get some defined searches. Now, stick with me here. There's a reason why I'm going over this. So say, for example, I am looking for black shoes. So I'm looking for black men's shoes and no longer casual shoes. I want black men's dress shoes. Well, notice that I put a plus sign in front of the black men's dress shoes. What I've done now is I have forced Google to now start defining what it is that I'm looking for. By putting a plus sign into the search engine, this key phrase that I've typed in, I have told Google that I want the search done for broadly for men's dress shoes. But I want to make sure that black or any synonyms with the word black show up in the search results page, the search engine results page that you're displaying for me. So it's really important to me that my shoes be black here, or something very similar, which is why Google now has shown me pretty much all black shoes in the product listing ads that are displaying at the top. And even right here, they're showing me men's black dress shoes, black men's dress shoes, and it's showing me here men's dress shoes, black, brown, and more dress shoes. So what Google does is it tries to say, okay, well, Ray wanted something more specific. Well, we can start to get even more specific with Google, and I can say to Google, hey, I want you to find me any page on the internet that has black men's dress shoes as a phrase. And this is not necessarily exact, but we call it an exact match type of search because we're looking for those words put together. Now note what Google did, right? So black men's dress shoes is what I typed in, but look what it shows me. In this ad, it has men's black dress shoes. So it's not quite exact, but it's all the words. It may show man versus men's. Note that it included men's with an apostrophe, and so this one doesn't have the apostrophe, but this one does for the Nordstrom rack. And so it tries to give me mostly what I'm looking for, and at this point, it's starting to identify whether or not I want to have synonyms included or not. So for the fact that I quoted it, now I'm saying, you know what? I would rather no synonyms to this particular search. I want to find these 4 words all told. Okay? So we're going to come back to this, and it's really important that you start to understand how some of these Google advanced search operators actually make their way into Google Ads, and how it can help you kind of understand better how to include or remove things from from the search, but also how to include or remove things from the ads you're displaying to users. Another quick item here is that say that I want to look up something like VW, okay? But I want to look up at all VW cars except that I don't want to see any that are of the Beetle variety. What I can do here is I can type in VW cars, and then I can put the minus sign or the hyphen or whatever, and type in the word Beetle. And what happens now is Google now knows that it's going to look for all cars that are VWs, but no Beetles, because I don't want to see the Volkswagen Beetle or Bug or whatever the vehicle is. And so we can include or exclude, and then I could use quotations, I could use the plus sign, I can use those in combination to create very, very specific searches. And you're going to want to use that in Google Ads once we get over to that side, and we'll talk about that a little more. But anyway, just so you can see, this is where Google Ads display in just a basic search engine results page, and it's good for you to know that that exists. What I wanted to do now is to talk a little bit about Google Ads, because it is a huge platform and it extends into many other products that Google has. And we're not going to talk about all of them, but I at least want you to know that they exist. So let's start with, let's go here, and let's start off with a local services. So local services is an ad platform that if you have a local service business, you should really consider it. So it's Local Services by Google. You can Google it and find it. And so Local Services allows you to run local services ads. They are primarily mobile, but people can find them in the desktop search as well. It's just that it's really nice because if you say, look at Rose's cleaning service, right? You have, it shows their reviews, you type in local house cleaning, and then you get an immediate click to call button right there from the search, and you can call that business and do some really sophisticated things. So for example, if you're doing local services ads, you can type in a business, say I want a plumber. I type in local plumber, or I just type in plumber, it geolocates me and says, oh, hey, you're in Arlington, Virginia, and so here goes a few local plumbers that are available to you, and they'll show, of course, the ones that are advertising through local services right there at the top. And I can even go to the effect of scheduling directly into the local plumber's system. So here I'll see the search, and then I'll immediately be able to book an appointment in the schedule for the plumber, and therefore the plumber will get a notification, know that that's now in the schedule, and he or she should show up at my home and help fix my clogged toilet, right? So very, very cool product if you are a local service business and you do those kinds of local services that match the local services product base. Next up is Google Shopping campaigns. So this is actually akin to what are called product listing ads. And so you're going to see these, they kind of blend over one another. They overlap in Google Ads and otherwise. But this is a separate product that Google provides called Shopping Campaigns, and it allows you to sell products. And so you can place your products from your e-commerce site into Google Shopping Campaigns and run very specific campaigns, that is, for your local inventory. And so this is a little different than having a product listing ad where your products could be anywhere and you can just rank within the system for a keyword search. This is a display ad that shows your product. It shows some information about that product. It might be what color shoes do you have in inventory, what sizes do you have, and what styles do you have, and I can now identify that product, and I can go walk into your store and purchase it. I can purchase it online and then go pick it up, whatever. But Shopping Campaigns is a really strong product for local businesses as well. So just keep that in mind if you have a retail store, retail boutique where you have local inventory that you can sell. Next up is YouTube. We have the ability to advertise on YouTube through Google Ads, but YouTube has its own advertising platform itself where you can create video ads within YouTube. And so this is very, very powerful if you are focused on video advertising, that is focused on displaying video ads to your users, and you know that they're on YouTube. You can go ahead and do this kind of video advertising all within the Google ecosystem. Okay, so just consider that you have these bespoke areas. Another one of them is AdMob. So if you want to be able to display ads directly onto mobile devices, that is inside of applications running on Android, AdMob is the platform that you would want to go to. And you go to admob.google.com, or just Google AdMob, you'll be taken directly to this page. And so Google AdMob. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this earlier, but Tracy has the link to these slides, and in the slides I have links to all of these things that I'm talking about. So don't worry about finding it. The links are in the Google Slides link that you will get after we're all done. Anyway, the point is that Google AdMob allows you to be able to then put ads directly into applications. So people are browsing the internet, they are browsing websites, and they are also interacting with mobile applications today in vast numbers. So with that, you can now push advertisements directly into particular ads that are ad supported, and you can go ahead and do that through AdMob. Again, there are ways to do this within Google Ads, and but just know that some of the products within Google also have their own bespoke advertising system. And last but not least is a product maybe some of you know about, which is Waze. Those who know Waze love Waze. They're either Google Maps people or Google Waze people. And maybe there are some Apple Maps people out there. No offense against the Apple Maps folks out there, but Waze is a driving and direction, a navigation application, and it's social in its nature. People can let others know on the road that there's a speed trap and that there's a speed limit change, or that there's an accident or slow down or something like that up ahead. And so you can quickly and easily share this kind of information in real time with others. Well, Waze provides their own advertising platform, and they actually have some very unique ways in which they can do advertising. So within the Waze app, you are able to display certain types of ads, 3 actually specific types of ads, and I'll just show them to you very quickly. So the 3 different ad formats are a branded pin. In essence, if you have a store, a physical location where you provide your services, you can actually put up a store sign that shows up on the map as people drive by, so that if someone drives by your office 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a week to and from work, well, you can actually then display this kind of store pin so that you can let drivers know that you exist. And so maybe they might try your coffee shop if they are passing by it all the time and they just don't know your coffee shop is there because maybe it's not visible from the road, and maybe then they'll stop by and give your coffee shop a try. Promoted search allows you to be able to show up when people do searches within the Waze app. So if I'm searching for a location to go somewhere, say I want to go to a particular store, I type in a search, well, your ad will show up at the top of that search, again, akin to any other search engine results page type advertisement, but it's directly within the app. And then finally, zero speed takeover, which means that I come to a complete stop at, say, a stop sign, and your ad would then pop up for it. They get the example they give you as a gas station, and so as you stop at the stop at a red light, and down comes a little ad that says, hey, by the way, this local gas station has a deal on potato chips, 25 cents off if you buy two packs today. And so now that person has the ability to immediately click on it and reroute themselves to that location to go pick up the offer that's being provided at the location. So you can push these kinds of full screen takeovers of the product for those Waze users where it applies. So just know that there are other advertisement opportunities within the Google ecosystem, and but we're going to be talking specifically about Google AdWords itself. Okay, so let's jump back over to my slides and I was here. Okay, great. So now we know where Google Ads appear. And what I wanted to do is to go over some of the basics regarding Google Ads just briefly before we get into the interface itself so you can get an idea about what's going on. Google Ads has its own hierarchy. Every account is designed in 4 levels. You have an account, you have campaigns, you have ad groups, and then you have the ads themselves. The way this all works is that you have one account. I mean, unless you have multiple businesses, you in essence have one account, or if you're managing other businesses AdWords ad campaigns. I'm going to keep flubbing myself on the Google Ads AdWords thing, but if you're managing multiple businesses Google Ads accounts, then you would potentially have multiple accounts, but generally you have one Google Ads account. Then you will have multiple campaigns. Think of the idea of a campaign as a notebook, ad groups as pages within a notebook, and then the ads as the content within the notebook. So they are varying layers of the structure and the hierarchy of how you're going to put together your advertising budget and the goals of that advertising budget. So campaigns are really about the goals. If you are thinking about what you want a campaign to achieve, then you probably have the right answer. Who do you want to get in front of in terms of X, whatever product or service you're trying to sell? And so a product, a specific product may have a series of campaigns, and each of those campaigns are being targeted toward a particular group of people. Then you have ad groups. Ad groups tend to have between if you have 5 or 10, maybe 15 different groups of ads, you might have each of those ad groups inside of a single campaign. And then you may have between 5 and 20, maybe 30 different ads within an ad group. In essence, it's a way to organize and structure your account so that you don't have 500 ads sitting in one big bucket. You want to be able to slice and dice the content so you can see them in different ways. So I see many clients using different structures for their campaigns, ad groups, and ads. Just make sure it makes sense for you in terms of what you're trying to look at and why you're trying to look at it together. Why are these things naturally together? Ads and ad groups should usually be combined together because of keywords, okay? And then campaigns should usually be grouped together based on who you're trying to target based on a product or service. So you'll have who you're trying to target for this product and service, and that's going to end up being a single campaign. Then you'll have ad groups, then you'll have ads. But say, for example, you have a special offer that's happening and you want to run a campaign specifically for, say, Easter. Well, you might have a campaign that's exclusively for Easter, or several that are exclusively for Easter, where then you structure it so that you can see who you're going after and for what product or service, and that then ends up being the campaign that you run, and then you can ultimately stop using it when it's over. But accounts, you have the account, you have campaigns, ad groups, and ads. So there are several different ad types that Google gives you. We started talking about them to begin with, which is the text ad, which is what I showed you primarily within the Google search results pages, the search engine results pages. So what you saw were text display ads showing up below the searches that I was doing in Google. And then over to the right, you saw some different types of ads, what we call PLAs or product listing ads. I'm not going to talk about this today, but they are available. Again, you would probably go to Google Shopping campaigns to really do that within the Google for Retail area. Then we have ads with extensions. You actually saw one of those extensions when I talked about the fact that Zappos had their ratings, their reviews right there embedded within the text ad itself. But you can have things in text ads with extensions. Some of the extensions can be your phone number. It can be your address if you're trying to drive people into your local retail or office space. And also offers. So say, for example, you have a timely offer that you're trying to present within your text ad, you can actually provide that offer right there below the display path and tell people, hey, by the way, we have this really great offer coming up. Come by and let us know the secret word and we'll give you that offer. So you have text ads with extensions, and you have other types of display ads with extensions. Responsive ads are only on the display network, and those actually are ones that change size and basically they change size. They respond to the size of the device display so that they can display better. These are typically different kinds of content mixed together. So you might have image and text and so on and so forth sort of mixed together to make itself larger or smaller and to look good in different environments. Then we have image and video ads, both again on the display network, and image and video ads show on the display network. Images are images, videos are videos, and you have the ability to go ahead and do that. Then we have the final one, which are call only ads. And that ad type is so that when you're in an ad, very similar to the local services ad that I showed you earlier on the local services by Google page, it's a click to call button. You see a little phone icon with a call button. You can click on that. And if you're on a mobile device, then you're going to immediately be taken to the phone application and be able to make a phone call out to the business that is advertising. So you have some options as it relates to ad types. I'm going to stick to text ads today because this is just a 101. Some of this stuff gets really complicated very quickly and is really not necessary because text ads are the vast majority, the super majority of ads that are displayed, and they are actually the most effective that are used across the Google network. So yes, all the other ads can be used in different ways to be very, very effective, but for a starting business in the Google Ads platform, text ads are going to be more than enough for you, and you will learn a lot about how to do advertising on Google and really across other social ads platforms from just running a few text ads and getting some comfort with them. Okay, next up is some limits on your Google accounts. So in Google Ads, you are able to have a wide variety of different types of things. I just wanted to cover some of the basic things about what you can contain within an account and the limits on those. So first and foremost, you can have as many users as you want in an account. We're not talking about managed accounts. If you're even thinking about managed accounts, you're way beyond the Google Ads 101. So talk to me afterward, and I'd be happy to direct you to that information. Actually, in the slides, I put a link to these limitations, so you should be able to find that help article on this slide when Tracy shares the link to it. But anyway, if you need users, you can add as many users as you want. So if you have a few other people in the company who are all trying to manage the same Google Ads account, you can just add them in from the admin area. You can have 10,000 campaigns in a specific account. So the only other time that you would create a new account if you are a single business entity then is if for some reason you had more than 10,000 active campaigns at any given time. That is a lot of campaigns. So if you're doing that, you likely have hired someone to manage your campaigns. So again, I don't think you're ever going to get to that number. You have 20,000 ad groups inside of any specific campaigns. So if you do the math, 20,000 times 10,000, it's a very large number of ad groups that you can have, and that brings us to the number of ads you can have in an ad group. So you can have 300 image or gallery ads inside each ad group. Okay, so 300 in each of the 20,000 that you can have in your account, and you can have 50 active text and non-image or gallery ads, which could include responsive or otherwise if they're inside of the display network, not in the search. And so you can have 50 active text ads in essence per ad group. So that leads us to 350, right? And then all told across your entire account, you can have 4 million ads per account. Okay, so in essence, almost everybody, I mean 90-something%, I'm sure, I don't know the exact number, but basically can live within a single Google Ads account. So just know that you have some limitations. For example, the 50 active text ads per ad group, some folks do run up against that limit inside of an ad group, but really ultimately what ends up happening is that they're trying to be way too granular in one particular capacity, or they're not grouping properly. So you might have 50 active text ads, but in reality, you should have 4 or 5 ad groups to contain each of those 10 active text ads. So just remember that the structure really will help you understand the ads that you're running over time. I know this seems a little bit abstract because you're not doing it, but just keep this in mind as you're going forward, which is how are we structuring? What are our goals for being able to advertise and convert people who come to our website, and how do we group those keywords that people are searching, which we'll get to momentarily, and convert them on the other side? And we want to be able to run reports that give us more specificity as it relates to those. So grouping and controlling the hierarchy of what you're connecting together is really important. I wanted to make just one more point about the success of any ads strategy, which is that when we start to talk about the idea of doing ads, we can't not think about the keywords. I started us off with looking at searches and how search actually works within Google. In reality, people search in natural language. And so very much so language matters here. So the best example I can give you is that when you talk to a car dealership that sells pre-owned vehicles, they will say that they sell pre-owned vehicles. It's their internal lingo that they talk about. Or if you talk to an attorney who practices a specific type of law, say labor law, they'll say they do maybe they do labor law. Maybe they'll say they do DOL work, or they'll say they practice ERISA. They do ERISA cases or LTD STD stuff. And in reality, the person who is searching, the layman, the non-technical person, really will not use that language. If I'm going to go buy a pre-owned vehicle, I'm going to type in used car. So you don't need to bid for pre-owned vehicles. You need to bid for used cars, and probably some a dozen or so different combinations of that included with local optimization, because you're a car dealership, you're a local business, right? And so start to think about what your buyers' words are. What would they type into Google to find you? And those end up being the keywords that you are going to be bidding for within Google Ads to be able to be found and ultimately to display your ads. The other side to this is that your content on your website that you're driving your your visitors to, from the ads. So someone comes to Google, they type in a search, and they type in used cars in Charlottesville, and so they're going to come up with a site. Come up with a search engine results page, a SERP, and it's going to have some ads clearly on it that are car dealerships who sell used cars in the Charlottesville, Virginia area. Well, if you're not aware that someone's going to click on your ad, if you're displayed there, what are they going to land on? Are they going to land on content that makes sense? For what if I clicked on used cars? Think about it for yourself. Put yourself in the shoes. I click on used cars in Charlottesville, and I end up on a website. What are you expecting to land on? You're likely expecting to land on a car dealership's website that has used cars displayed on that page. It may be a catalog of a few cars that they have on the lot that are in a Charlottesville area. You would want to see something specifically, and you need to relate that to your own business. What is it that your buyer's intent is when they do a search? Can you satisfy the buyer's intent on the other side once they get to your website, once they get to the ultimate place? And will they want to buy from you based on that? So speak with your buyer's words, understand that language matters, and ultimately understand that the terminal experience, that is the end result, the place they end up at, they need to experience that in such a way that makes them want to know you, buy from you, enjoy whatever it is that you're trying to provide to them as a business. Okay, next up is an ads keyword strategy. And so this takes me to just a very brief explanation of how Google looks at the world. So Google has something called consumer moments, in the sense that what they believe is happening when someone does a search is that they are they're filling in the blank for several statements. In essence, I want to know, I want to go, I want to do, or I want to buy. And so people are experiencing Google through that lens. I want to go to the doctor. I want to know something. I want to know how tall Tom Cruise is, right? I want to do something fun with my family. I want to buy men's black dress shoes. Those four consumer moments are are very easily identifiable by Google based on people's search terms. And what we need to do as business owners when we're creating Google ads, we need to be able to look at the campaigns from that perspective. How are we looking at the intent of these Google consumer moments and being able to translate that to good, strong ads? Now, Google runs on a bidding auction style platform, which means that your ads are displayed on Google Ads as an ad on Google search engine results page in the search network and as well on the display network, based on something called ad rank. Now, ad rank is in essence a quality score from your ad multiplied by the maximum bid that can be given. Now, this is way beyond the purview of today. I'm not going to get into the numbers of how this works, but in essence, if your max bidding number and times your ad quality score is higher than someone who has another bid, right? Then say you have three bids, I'm sorry, for $3, $2, and $1 per click, right? Pay per click is, you get paid when someone clicks on it, and so $3, $2, $1. But their ad quality scores are something akin to 5, 10, and 2. Well, when you do the math, right, the person who is in the center is actually going to get the highest ranking. The person who has 2 times a ranking factor of 10 has a 20, right? The first person is 3 times 5 is 15. So that person who's in the center is actually going to be shown first by Google, minus the second price auction. There's another layer to this that's a little bit more complicating, but don't worry about that so much. The point is that don't try to worry so much about ad rank, about max bidding, about ad quality scores. A lot of those things end up being things that turn businesses, they make you cross-eyed, and then you just can't think about advertising. Think more about an ads keyword strategy where you're monitoring the data and you're making good decisions based on what you're actually seeing in your own account. Don't think about the competition. Think about what you're doing to make your ads great. And what helps you do that is an acronym I called MARK. MARK allows you to think about market size, relevance, and then competition and cost. And MARK allows you to be able to create an AdWords or an ads keyword strategy to be able to start thinking about how your ads are being displayed to people and choosing the right keywords to be able to have a pool of keywords that can be displayed to people in a way that's going to be useful to them. So very, very quickly, market size. What's the search volume? Google has a tool called the Keyword Planner. Can't go into it today, but look at the Keyword Planner and you're going to see it cover these components. It's going to say, okay, well, when you type in used cars in Charlottesville, Virginia, the market size is X number of thousands of people. What's the relevance to those people who show up on those pages? Very high, so that's going to create a greater competition and therefore a greater cost. Could you extend the length of that search? Can you make that search a little bit more specific to potentially reduce the competition, keep relevance, and decrease cost? Maybe the search volume goes down ever so slightly, but then the competition goes down that much more and you get a lower cost bid with as good a relevance, right? So you start to play with these different pieces in the Google AdWords, in the Google Ads system in order to be able to come up with great searches. So I'm happy to answer questions about this. I know it's a little bit complicated of a construct, but it is useful for you. Very, very briefly, I wanted to cover the keyword matches going back to our Google search. Remember, we talked about broad searches, right? Just something like men's shoes. What Google does is it tries to identify what's going on. And so see that plus sign? When you do a Google Ads campaign, you're going to want to pay attention to what things have a plus sign in front of it, which creates a broad match keyword type. So the match type for broad is plus. Notice that when we did a broad match, we wanted to bring together, I think I typed in plus black men's dress shoes. So I, in essence, gave credence to the word black for Google, which meant that Google could look for things that were black or similar to it in the searches that it was doing for me. So it would look for synonyms, but it's going to give me a very broad level of it. I gave a very specific thing like black, which is a color, so it knew exactly what to provide me. So that's why it gave me a very relevant item. But generally, those are for wide reach and can lead to irrelevant traffic coming to your website. But then we could do a phrase, and phrase keyword match type means that I'm looking for a series of words, not necessarily in the same order, but I'm looking for that series of words. And I gave that to you also when I typed in black men's dress shoes. So in essence, it would find those 4 words in the relevant search engine results that it could find and then display those to me. And there may be some minor modification. It may say, black man dress shoes, although that may note someone of African American descent. So it may limit me from seeing that because it knows that I'm looking for shoes and not a person. So it does some really good ways of thinking about that stuff. Then we get to something that is not a matchup to Google's advanced search operators, which are the brackets. So if you type something into the keyword listing for Google Ads, and you're trying to create a specific, what we call an exact match type, keyword will be in brackets. Now that's still going to, it'll sometimes show single and plural will sometimes be swapped. Sometimes it will look at words like to, a, the, for, conjunctions, prepositions, that kind of thing, and it will just add those or remove those from the search. It doesn't really care about those. And then finally, we have the negative. Okay, so we're capable of negating words. So, for example, if I want to display, if I'm a used car dealer selling VW Tourigs or whatever the name of that particular model of vehicle is, but I don't sell Beetles, I could do a search. I could do an ad that, in essence, says I want people who type in VW Tourig and then say minus Beetle, because maybe I'm getting a lot of junk traffic to my ads for people who are looking for VW Beetles, and I don't want that word to show up in my searches because I only have these specific models of vehicle on my lot. Okay, so I know I went through a lot of stuff in terms of the kind of forefront abstract of all of this, but I feel like it's really important that you understand this as you approach Google Ads in that sense. Now, just very briefly, I went over this beginning, but note that headlines, you have 2 different headlines, headline 1, headline 2. You can have up to 30 characters. Then you have the display path, which is the URL that shows, and that can be 15 characters. And finally, you have the description, and you have up to 80 characters in the description itself. Note that in the display path, right before it, it has that little ad icon that just tells people that it is an advertisement. All right. So let's hop out and see if I can't get into Google AdWords without. I always I'm concerned about these demos when. Oh, actually, I'm not doing that. I'm doing it here. All right. So let's pull up Google Ads, and so when you first come to Google Ads, you will come to this page. Let me just go ahead and expand this to full size. Great. And so you either are going to click Start Now or Sign in order to begin your process with Google Ads. I suggest you not click on Start Now and that you actually click on Sign In. If you have a real trouble with technology, say you're technophobic, pick up the phone and dial the 800 number that they have on the main page, and they will be happy to talk to you and walk you through it. So a sales representative will be assigned to you and help you. Also note that I always recommend this to clients, which is that once you create a Google Ads account, you will be given an account representative. The account representative is your eyes and ears to your Google Ads. So lean on them in every way you can. Also, make sure that they're specialists in your particular area. So you might have, there are thousands of Google Ads account representatives, and some of them have specialties. So they will have, just by luck, say come into contact with a bunch of used car dealers. Well, if that's the case, they have built up a specialization in knowing how to help used car dealers in ways that, say, another account representative may help medical professionals and allied health providers. So know that there are sometimes specialists, not all of them are, it's a luck of the draw kind of thing. But if you get them on the phone and they say, yeah, I really help 90% of the people I help are dentists. And you say, well, I am, a cardiac, physician, or I own a laundromat, and that's really like left field. Do you know anybody who is a specialist in this area? And once in a while, not always, but once in a while, one of the account representatives will say, oh yeah, you know what? Bill over there, he does all of that, and they can transfer your account over to that representative if the other representative agrees, and put you in touch with someone who is a specialist in your area, and that can be very useful. Generally, they don't need to be specialists, but if you feel like you need someone who really understands your business, try that and see if that doesn't help. Okay, so if you've never come to a Google product before in your life, then you need to create a Google account, which means you'll click on this Create Google Account, and then you'll be taken through the process of adding all the information. Like if you click Create here, you'll say to manage my business, and then it will take you to this display function to go ahead and put in a first name, last name. You can just literally put in your business name if you want, an email address. It does not have to be a Gmail account. So in essence, you could put your business email address in here, and it will create a Google account using your business address, passwords, and follow the prompts. I'm going to log in using our dummy test account information and go from there. But you will then be taken into the Google Ads interface once you have logged into Google Ads. The reason I say don't click on that Start Now on the very beginning is because if you do, you will then be taken into the facilitated ads creation process. And in reality, we want to be able to look at the interface and interact with the interface more than that particular item. So up here, you will see this notice bar. And so since we're in the sample account, there's no payment form in here, nor is there an active account. But you will see those red bars across the top, as well as up here in the notification bar, that there are things missing or things that you can do. For example, the Ads Editor is a downloadable application for bulk operations. I suggest you actually download it and use it if you are doing a lot of Google Ads. It's very, very helpful. But basically, if there's something wrong with your account, or if something that they need to bring your attention to, it will be up here in the notification bell icon. Quickly, let's go through the interface, and then I'm gonna blaze through trying to show you a little bit about the ad creation process. But if we need to, we will schedule another Google Ads 102 where we can continue on in the process. But either way, you have your left-hand side panel. They've tried to create the interface to be very similar to all of the other Google marketing platform products. So it looks akin to Google Analytics or any of the other tools that you might be familiar with. You have the hamburger bar button, which opens and closes the left-hand navigation where all of your campaigns will be listed. So if you have a campaign, I just have this one sample campaign here, and you can see that once I click on the campaign, we have all of the various areas that are available to us to look at. Across the top, you can always see where you are because it tells you under all campaigns the specific campaign you're in, and then it will keep breadcrumbing you once you go into something. So if I click on demographics here, it will now show me up here that I'm in this particular campaign, and I'm looking at the demographics area. So there's no more breadcrumbing that's necessary. But as I keep going into particular areas, I can do that. Note that also if you type the letter G and then T for go to, you see this little search thing shows up. And if I just type in anything that I want, like campaign, I can actually create a new campaign just by typing in campaign, by typing GT and then the word campaign. I could type in keywords here. And you can see that the keyword planner shows up for me to be able to jump to the keyword planner. So GT opens up the search functionality, and it's very, very helpful to get around. So even if you don't see something here in the navigation, so you have your primary navigation and your secondary navigation, then you can always jump to GT and it will help you search for those things. Okay, going across the top, let's just close this out. We have the breadcrumb to tell you where you are. We then have the go-to. It's the same thing as typing in GT. We have reports. So once you're running ads, you'll be able to see reports there. You then have some tools, and you can see this is where really all the action's at. This this is the, if you know Google Analytics, this is the administrative panel where you can really jump to everything that's necessary. The keyword planner for choosing keywords. You have your shared library, bulk actions, all your measurement tools, including jumping to Google Analytics. This is where billing and payment is. Adding users is under account access, and so on and so forth. Okay. If you ever get confused about this interface, if you click on the question mark button here and then click on the quick reference map, this will actually take you to Google's Quick Reference Map, which is available in a downloadable PDF. But here you can see it has all the various areas of the sections, outlined and numbered. So this is 3, this is 4. You can see the page submenu page and the top bar and all that other stuff. And then if you scroll down, it actually walks you through where each of those things is and how to get to them. So it's a very, very helpful little quick reference map for you to be able to do so. All right, so let's take a step into what it's like to create an ad. So in essence, in order to create an ad, you have to have a campaign. And so again, I'm just going to type GT and be taken here, and I'm going to type in campaign, scroll down and click on new campaign. And in just our last few minutes, what we're going to do is we are going to just walk through what a basic campaign would look like in the system. So say that I wanted to create a web traffic campaign, and we could choose any one of these. So you can see here you have different options. Google tries to facilitate the process for you. So if you're looking for sales, if you're looking for leads, website traffic, product and brand awareness, then app promotion, which is what I talked about, AdMob, right? This is that function built right here into the ads campaign. Or if you wanted to do it based on goals that you have set up, you can go ahead and create that specific goals that are not one of these 6. You can go ahead and create a very specific one, a custom one for yourself. I'm just going to click on web traffic just so we can see what the interface looks like as we go through. I'm only going to choose search here, but note that you have display, shopping, and video. Some of you might actually see universal here if you're using an older system or otherwise, but generally, we're going to click on search and not all of these. I just want to run a search ad. This is then going to ask you for a business website. I'm just going to put in our business website. This is not the final path. This is not the final URL that we want people to send to, but this is just generally our website that it wants to know what we're setting this up for. Okay, we'll click continue. And then what will happen now is it's going to ask us a series of questions. One is, what do you want to name this campaign? Now, we talked about before the idea of naming the campaign based on the criteria associated with who do you want to get in front of and for what product or service. So it's really helpful to kind of have that listed here in as great a detail as possible. Everyone comes up with their own kinds of acronyms and other kinds of shorthand for what you're trying to do. So say you're doing a search campaign, you would type search here, and then maybe you say that you want to, you're doing something for used cars, right? Maybe you identify the geographic location. So we'll say Charlottesville just to keep consistent. And say we're looking for men 25 to 35. And that's as much as we have kind of gotten into. We're looking for 25 to 35-year-old men in Charlottesville who are looking for used cars. And we're going to use all kinds of keywords around used cars, but generally that's what we're trying to sell to them is the used cars. It then gives us the option to be able to choose who we want to reach, which network. We talked about the search and the display network. In this case, I don't want it to be showing on the display network at all, just generally. And so I can choose to include or not include Google search partners. Like I said before, AdSense, AOL, other kinds of places where it might display it. I'm going to leave it in there and we can always take it out later. We have a whole bunch more settings, but one of the things that we can do under the primary settings for this is start and end date on an entire campaign. Okay, so I generally recommend that you put as many date limits on everything as possible. So in this particular case, you can start a campaign on a particular date and leave the end date blank, so it's not set, or you can just choose to have it time set. It's very easy to set up a campaign and to walk away from it, and then all of a sudden to get a very large bill that has accrued at the end of the month. So I like to have things structured so that you're keeping some some reins on it. We can target based on location, language, different types of audiences. You can go through all of those very easily and select them. We can choose budget and delivery method of that budget. And so standard is that it's going to meter it out over the course of the month. Accelerated means that it's going to do as much as it can as soon as it can. So it may spend all of your budget right up front. So if you say you want to spend, $5 a day, $10 a day, $30 a day, it's going to spend it as soon as it's possible. And maybe if it spends it by 10 a.m., it won't show any other ads throughout the rest of the day. Or you can say, I want it to be standard, which means it'll trickle out the ads throughout the course of the day until it gets to that budget limit. We can bid in all kinds of ways. Generally, you're just going to choose clicks, and you're going to do a max CPC of some amount. It ranges from pennies up to $10 per click. You will have to do some research in terms of what are the standard click rates for those kinds of things, and the keyword planner will be able to give you some guidance there. Okay, so we can rotate ad schedules under here as well. So we can show ads at specific times and days of the week. So we can say Mondays through Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays, so weekends only, specific days of the week, and specific times of days of the week. Okay, so you have very, very granular ability to both show an ad and to rotate the ads. So ad rotation, when we talk about optimization, optimizing means that the best performing ads will get shown more than the less performing ads. So Google starts out showing all of your ads, it notes the ones that get the clicks, and it's going to show more of those. Or you can say to Google, you know what, I do not want you to optimize that. I want you to rotate each of the ads in order and show all the ads all the time. Okay, we can click some. We're not going to talk about ad extensions. Let's just put 10 here, and then we get to the next section, which is where we're probably going to close out, and I'll be happy to answer questions. But this is really where you create your ads. So some ads, you will create in all in one ad group when you get started, but you'll basically name your ad group. Again, when we talked about ad groups, remember ad groups are collecting various ads around a specific product or specific group of products. And so we might decide that this ad group is about used cars. So we're just going to type in used cars. And we can transfer these ad groups among different campaigns. So that's very helpful for us. So in this particular case, maybe I want to take this to, my used cars, Charlottesville, .com/catalog, and that's the page where we have all of our current inventory of cars. Okay, so note that I put the business URL on the primary page, but here I can actually direct people to a final specific URL page. So really consider where it is that people are going to end up and making sure that it's mobile optimized, because really so many people are going to end up on your websites today and it's going to be mobile, so it needs to look good on mobile. You have the options of writing headline 1, headline 2, and now they're giving a headline 3 here. That is new. That is new to me, as it says. And then we have a display path. This is what's going to display in the ad itself, and then we have description, and it's actually giving us a secondary description. We're learning new stuff today together. So here we're now allowed up to 90 characters. 90 characters is new. That's interesting. So not 80 characters, but 90 characters, and then you get a secondary description of 90 characters. I'm not sure they probably show that in every circumstance, but that's the way that goes. If you know what type of tracking you need to do, like with affiliate links or otherwise, you would use these add URL options, but that's outside of purview today. You then click done and you've got your ad created. Okay, so that's really all it is. I mean, it's really simple. You're really doing ad copywriting, and if you write good headlines, good text, and leading people to appropriate content, then the ads are going to be great. Okay, it gives you the previews for both a desktop and mobile version. And then you're going to click done, save and continue, and then the ads will be set in essence to run, unless you've done anything to break the terms of service of the system. The ad is in essence all set to go. So with that, I know we're running past time, so I want to hand it over to Tracy, and I'll be happy to answer any questions folks have and fill in the gaps as necessary.
Wow, great information, Ray. Let me go ahead and close out the webinar, and then we'll get to the questions. So those of you that need to get on with your day can do that. Thank you all for participating today. Today's webinar was recorded and it'll be posted on the Virginia SBDC's website under live webinars and recordings. Tomorrow you'll be receiving a follow-up email on this webinar. There'll be an evaluation link as well as links to the slides that you saw today. Please help us to continue to improve our training by taking the time to complete the evaluation. I just posted that evaluation in the chat window, and when I'm finished, I will post the slides there as well. If you want to fill it out now, that's great. On May 2nd, we'll be doing our webinar on big fish and a small pond marketing. So let's go ahead and get our questions. Google AdWords Express versus Google Ads. Is there a way to convert an AdWords campaign to Google Ads, or do I need to start over?
Sorry, I had myself muted. You'll have to start over. So AdWords Express is a very quick and dirty style platform for being able to run ads through Google. And so while it makes it very simple, you'll never actually be able to use the advanced functionality within Google Ads. So I just generally don't recommend it to business owners. Start on the Google Ads platform and stay there. If you're on AdWords Express, unfortunately, you'll need to create a Google Ads account and then replicate your ads manually. But then you'll be able to use negative keywords, and you'll be able to use different types of match types within keywords. You'll be able to run structured audiences. I mean, you'll have so many other options. It's really worthwhile, and you can control your budget so much better. Good luck.
Great. Is the double / a qualifier?
Nowhere is the double / a qualifier because double / is for the types is basically for HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, FTPS. It's the it shows up after the colon for those kinds of things. Pipes, if you know what the pipe is, that's the Boolean operator for or. And so there are some other items within the match types, but I would stick to just quoting, brackets, and otherwise, unless you are really ready to get sophisticated with Google Ads. I'll talk to Tracy about this, and maybe we'll expand this series on Google Ads to maybe multiple ones, so I have a little bit more time to talk about things in a more granular way, and that way we can fit more content in one webinar. Or over the course of multiple webinars. But the idea is to really stick to broad match, plus sign, quotes, the brackets, and then the minus sign for now. I think that if you try to really get into too many Boolean searches in that, in essence, they follow regex. So if you know regex, you're pretty much set. But I don't want anyone else listening, don't get too sophisticated, because otherwise you risk you run the risk of having ads not showing because the searches are not done correctly.
For YouTube ad, is it worth it to make with YouTube instead of Google?
So you can show very powerful ads. You have to know that you are creating really great creatives. So creatives are the videos that you're doing for the ads. If you're running really great creative, then absolutely, obviously video is very powerful, and YouTube viewers, people who go to YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. If they weren't a part of Google, they would be it. They would be the second largest search engine in the world. So people are watching video. If you have great ads that you can produce in video format, then YouTube advertising is and can be very powerful. And maybe Tracy, we can do a specific webinar on that topic at some point, because there's a lot to the YouTube advertising platform.
Great. For Waze, zero speed takeover, are you able to target specific type of users similar to Facebook? For example, if I wanted to target big rig truck drivers within the Southwest.
I am not as competent in the Waze advertising platform. I have seen a few clients using it, but I don't know. I know that those zero that takeover screen display ad type is actually only for Waze Local Pro users. So you have to be a Waze Local Pro user, and those are the ads that are shown to those people. So that's already a subset of the Waze user base. So that would be a question for Waze. I would just go to the Waze page again. When Tracy shares the slides, there's a link to it in the notes of that slide that I showed it on, and you can just click contact, and they'll let you know how custom an audience you can set it, and go from there.
Great. That's all the questions for today. Again, thank you, Ray, and everyone for participating.